I mentioned, Andy, the ticket talking point, which has been going on ever since Rangers and Celtic were drawn in the quarter-final of the Scottish Cup together. Did Danny Rowe mention that at all today? Was there any talk of that?
Not so much the ticket thing, just to say that he was looking forward to the sort of quirky nature of the fact you're going to have two derby matches a week apart, maybe even only 6 days apart, depending on what happens with the TV selections. So, yeah, I mean, he's looking forward to it. As far as even just talking to folk at Rangers today, I think they're still trying to work out the response to the situation. Obviously, it was our colleague Mick Gannon who yesterday brought the news that Celtic were indeed going to go and look to get not just the full Broomloan, they wanted the full 10,000 seats or 20% as the Scottish Cup rules allow for. I must admit, I'll be surprised if they get. I don't even think that they'll get the Broomloan. I just think you've got to take into account the policing situation. I know the police came out today and released a statement in which they said that they'll leave it to the clubs to decide. But the clubs have come to an agreement over this time last year over allocations of around 2,000, 2,500, depending on which the clubs are playing host, based on around, I think around 5%, I think it is. And I just don't see Rangers being keen to budge that. They've had to, put in some, significant. They had to spend some significant money putting in the netting that goes up for these games. I'm not sure how that would that have to be, reconfigured. If they were to give them the whole Broomloan, would you have to have this netting stretching across the whole stand? I can imagine the Rangers, the people at Rangers going, no, we'll just stick to the league arrangements, especially as you're going to have a game the week before. In terms of how you prepare, how you plan, it would be far easier for them just to go, we'll just copy and paste the setup we've got from the previous week and use that again next week. Listen, if Celtic stick to their guns, I'm not sure there's much they can do about it either, because you only have to look back last season when Hibs were asking for 14,000 seats for the game at Celtic Park, and was it last season or the season before? And Celtic insisted, no, we'll give you 7,000 again.
Aye.
So listen, I might be wrong, but that's just my gut feeling on it. I think you'll just see the league the league arrangement of 2,000 seats, something like that.
Aye, look, I mean, in the comments, Marzuno points out there's no ambiguity in the language of the rules. Celtic can claim 20% of the tickets, not request. However, a few people replying saying they can claim up to 20%.
Well, my understanding of it is that there will obviously be safety security measures that have to. In fact, there is. I had the. If you give me a second, I can find there's a second clause in the rule. Obviously, it takes into account the security measures and the fact that Police Scotland have to obviously give everything their blessing as well. And also, there is other considerations such as season tickets in and around that area. I mean, so yeah, it can claim up to 20%. I think that is a bit of the language is vague. From the people I've speaking to the SFA, it's not a hard and fast rule, as we've seen over the last couple of seasons, where as we say, Hibs wanted 14,000 seats at Celtic Park and only get 7. So Celtic can ask, they can request, they can push for it, but it's not an absolute hard and fast rule that they'll get them.
I kind of thought that if Celtic were to get the Broomloan Stand, that is almost a compromise, because they could say we're due 10,000, well there's 7,000. I mean, look in the comments as well. Your low Muppet says, get all the percentage of Celtic fans in. It's been too long, this tit for tat. And Brian points it as well. Give them the 20%, it would be like the good old days.
Well, listen, I'm not saying I wouldn't like to see it. I think.
Why? Of course not.
I think the derby, in terms of both grounds, it's nowhere near the spectacle it used to be. And I think it would be great to see both clubs get back to a point where they can, act maturely enough to come to a compromise that suits both sets of away fans. And listen, I'm not going to get into who started this and why it all kicked off. I'm sure the folk in the comments can argue that one out. But there's no doubt, as a spectacle, it's not what it used to be. And if we could get back to that kind of those kind of sights of 7,500 Celtic fans behind the goal at Celtic Park and 7,000 or 8,000 Rangers fans over in the corner at Celtic Park, then that would be terrific for me. I think that would be the dream scenario in terms of how you revitalise the fixture. The fixture's great, but how you get it back to the sort of the magnitude it once had.
Aye. No, look, I completely agree. For what it's worth, though, I do tend to agree with you in the sense that I think it will work out the same arrangement as the league, almost purely because they play each other the weekend before. Rangers will probably just say, look, we've got it all set up.
Yeah,
we've got
copy and
this
paste.
in place.
It's the copy and paste. They're just going to. I would just imagine. And again, I've tried to speak to some people at Rangers today, and they're still, basically formulating their response to. I'm not even sure if they've had the actual formal request from Celtic in yet. But I could imagine this is just my hunch on it that they'll go. No, we'll just use the same sort of setup for both matches.
Aye, no, I suspect you're probably right about that, but we'll see.